My name is Jason Salomi, and this is Perfection, an athlete's perspective. And today I have another special guest, Antonio Kiri. He is currently a flanker for the Cornish Pirates in the RFU Championship, former New Zealand Schools flanker and All Blacks Sevens player. Antonio, how are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. Good, thank you. Great to be on here.
Yeah, really excited to have you along, man. So you're originally from New Zealand,
Yep.
and I understand playing school rugby in New Zealand is a little bit different than playing school rugby in England. What was it like growing up playing over there?
Um, Rugby's the biggest sport in New Zealand,
Yeah,
and it's highly competitive from a very young age. And now looking back, I see rugby as like it's a lot of children use it as their escape, or from different lifestyles and whatnot, and you get all walks of life playing rugby at such a young age.
hmm
And it's just I don't know. I think it brings our country together, brings our people together playing rugby. And it was just yeah, I loved it. I've loved rugby ever since I can remember. So
So you play flanker, and I play safety in American football, and there are certain crossover skills that we have together. Stuff like making tackles, making
yeah,
a lot of quick decisions. So yeah, I'd like to talk to you today about tackling, sort of physicality, and some of the decision making to sort of compare it to my game, and hopefully I can learn something from you.
yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, I don't know a hell of a lot, but I know that the safety is you're the one that the quarterback's looking out for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're the one quarterbacks are looking out for and the receivers are afraid of. So
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
yeah, rugby is such a tough sport and it's so physical. Playing flanker, you're a ball carrier as well as a tackler.
Yeah.
How do you embrace physicality when going into a tackle, and is it different from being a ball carrier?
Yeah. I personally, I love being the defender, being the tackler, and it's probably my most favorite part of the game is that collision, and it's just
Mm,
you could almost say it's an ego thing. When someone gets close to you with the ball, and you just want to, and within the confines of the rules, you want to absolutely smash them.
yeah.
And I get a real thrill out of that. I think there's nothing sweeter than when you time that hit perfectly and you get the better of someone else. I think that's one of the life's simple pleasures. But yeah, no, I know I enjoy that the physical part of the game, and I've been on the receiving end of some big tackles as well. It's just the way it goes, and
Mm.
it's all part of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm a little bit like you. I love the physical side of it. It's something I guess sort of weirdly pleasurable about stopping a man from going where he wants to
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
using your body, and it's I don't know if it makes us weird or psychotic or I don't know, but it's just something that I've always enjoyed a bit like you. And when you're a ball carrier, is it sort of a similar thing?
yeah. I don't know what it is about me personally, but I'm a lot more physical without the ball.
Hmm
Um, when I have the ball, I tend to be a bit more skill based, using footwork and then looking for a pass to put other people in space, using
Mm.
offload and whatnot. So yeah, that's sort of my strength as a ball carrier, as opposed to my strength as a defender is just to be outright physical,
Yeah.
and it's all about timing and also where you place your feet and whatnot, which you'd know being a safety.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're making tackles, when you're going into tackle, are you thinking about anything? Are you thinking about your mechanics, or is it just something you just do?
I think it's just something that is over years and years of practicing and training and doing everything I can to get it all right. Now I just do it naturally,
Hmm
and I don't think about anything technical. I think more about, man, I just really want to get in a position to just smash this guy as hard as I can, and then I want to get the ball back, and then go from there. And I'm always,
Yeah.
that's in the back of my mind all the time is how can I get that ball back?
Yeah.
and it starts with the physical collision, winning that battle there. There are times where I do, you see certain players coming at you, and you know that they've got a different strength. Be guys that are downright massive, and you've just got to. Most of the time, it's instinctive.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, sometimes you have to sort of change the way you tackle based on who the ball carrier is. But I guess when you have the mindset that you have and that I consider myself having, it's hard not to just think I'm just absolutely lay this guy out.
Yeah,
If he gets anywhere near me, and sometimes it does it doesn't always go to plan sometimes, but
no, certainly not.
it's I think it's the message of, if you come my way, I will hit you. um and and I think as well, I don't know if it's so much in rugby, but in American football, when there's a massive hit, it is a momentum changer. Because of
Yeah,
the nature of sport, you stop someone and the whistle's blown. How is that in rugby? When you make a big hit, do you feel it in your teammates?
yeah, absolutely, and that's another thing that I try and focus on personally. For example, our last game we played before lockdown and COVID hit, we were playing a team that we should have technically or comfortably beaten, but
Mm,
halfway through the first half they were ahead and they had all the momentum, and then
yeah.
I remember their captain he ran this line towards me, and he didn't
Mhm.
see me waiting. He was sort of focused on one of our other players who was coming from a different side, and he didn't see me waiting there. And I timed it perfectly, and I did one of those hits where his feet just came out from underneath him. And I mean, the guy was fine. I didn't hurt him really, but it was just a nice hit. And my team, they started, they got off that, they got some energy out of that, and
Yeah,
then the next three tackles were just big hits, and next thing you know, we got the ball and we're scoring under their posts.
yeah,
So that's massive, man. Like a big hit like that can just change the energy in an instant.
yeah. And is that something have you always sort of looked to be that sort of guy that is a game changer in that way?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I can get my guys up and get them, on that level, you probably know it yourself, is when you've got that level of energy where you just feel a bit bulletproof.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been there.
That's when, if I can get my team to that level, and even myself, because I'm not always there, but if I get one good hit and I get two good hits, I feel a bit bulletproof. And if I can get myself and my team there by making those big collisions, then that's the goal.
Mm. And so, you've spoken about laying guys out, and there's obviously going to be some times when, like you say, there's going to be guys with a mean sidestep, really good in the open field. How do you focus on bringing those sort of guys down?
I've over my career, even growing up as a kid playing rugby, I've had to change my mentality with those sort of guys and look at what is a win when
Hmm.
you're tackling those sort of guys. Obviously, a win is absolutely laying them out, but it's a lot harder to do than a lot of people. So
Yeah.
what's next? A win is just getting him on the ground without him making any meters. So
Hmm.
tackle selection comes into play there. Um, I might just try to stay upright a little bit, so I've got better lateral movement,
Yeah.
and I can change with him. And I spend a lot of time practicing with those guys because I've had a tough time tackling those guys throughout the years.
Mm.
I played on the international sevens circuit a few years back, and I played against South Africa in a quarter final, and they had some really good guys, probably the best in the game. Yeah, and I got stuck in the middle of the field for about 5 minutes, and they scored 3 tries on me. They just picked me up. Yeah. So ever since that moment, I was like, man, I'm not going to get embarrassed like that again. So I practice a lot of that, the lateral movement when you're approaching the tackle and stuff. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
preparation that goes into it, and then you have a bit more confidence when you're out there.
Yeah. In American football, we have a concept when it comes to tackling called near hip, near shoulder. So it's sort of, you focus on getting your closest shoulder to their closest hip,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
and getting your head out of the tackle and sort of trying to roll with it. That's kind of something that we've stolen from you guys a little bit, but it's a really good technique, and I find it helps me.
Yeah, I mean, you got some pretty good sidesteppers in that sport as well. I mean,
Oh yeah.
some of the guys, their feet, and then their like their pace out of the blocks once they make that step is
Yeah.
unbelievable. So
Yeah.
you have to be pretty good there.
Definitely, man. So when you're playing flanker, like you say, you like to offload offensively. When it comes to decision making, how do you improve that? Is that something that just comes with practice? Is that something that you come from watching game film? How do you work in your decision making?
Yeah, so it usually starts with seeing your film from your games and trainings and stuff. So I'll probably, after I play a game, I'll watch that game about maybe 10, 12 times and
Wow.
go through just it's all clipped so we can see everything that we've done
Yep.
personally. And I I'll watch it maybe 10, 12 times, and I'll look at the scenarios where maybe I didn't make a good decision, or I could have made a better decision,
Hmm.
and then I'll try to recreate that scenario at a training. Um, maybe we'll finish team training, and I might grab 3 or 4 guys and just say, "Can you come over here for 5 minutes? Let's run through a couple of these."
That is amazing. I mean, so you're literally, as soon as the game is done, you're watching it 10 to 12 times, let's say, for example, on a coach back or playing back, or is that over the next few days?
Yeah, that's within. I mean, that's over the next few days.
Mm.
Um, I usually watch it. Sometimes if we play an away game, we might have a 5, 6 hour bus trip back to Cornwall. So
Yeah.
while I'm sitting on the bus, I'll just watch the game, um, and then go home, have a sleep, wake up, watch another couple of times, and then over the course of 3 or 4 days, I might watch it,
Mm.
a dozen times, or my actions a dozen times.
Hmm. And
And
when you're watching that, are you specifically watching only for mistakes, or do you watch the good stuff as well?
watching everything, man, like I do. I'm a big believer in celebrating the good things as well. So
Hmm.
while I do go through with a fine tooth comb looking for areas that I can be better, I'm also um, I'm also looking for the things that I did really well,
Hmm.
and things that other people did well around me. And I'm always one to pass that good feedback on to someone if they've done something well. I like to let them know that they've done it well,
Yeah.
and keep doing that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome, man. And so in that way, you kind of take a bit of a leadership role sometimes, trying to bring your teammates up with you and saying, "Oh, you did this well."
yeah, and it goes the other way as well. Like I will call up guys that could have done things better
Mm.
in certain instances, but I'll never say like, man, you should have done this. I'll kind of leave it in their court. I'll say like, what do you reckon about this? Like, maybe we could have done this a bit better.
Hmm.
And I think the way that you approach that is also people can get offended or feel attacked. So
Mm.
yeah, it's an art to it. I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
you give them the good and the bad. I think.
yeah, definitely. And it's also about, I think, being a good teammate. Um,
Yeah,
you know, I think because we both play team sports, it's so important to have a cohesive locker room and everyone getting on. I remember one of the things that my old team, the London Blitz, took on board was the stuff we saw from the All Blacks, where I think one of the coaches was saying that the All Blacks sweep the changing rooms after they're done, um,
yeah,
and that is, I mean, even at the amateur level and in most sports that doesn't really happen, but it's just something about just having respect for each other, respect for the staff, and respect for your team, and kind of brings the whole team together. I thought that was amazing.
yeah, man. That's a really big thing back home, and the All Blacks they're really good for that kind of thing. You could be the highest paid player, or you could be the kit man, or
Yeah.
you could be someone who's not directly involved with rugby and not making as much money as anyone else, but
Hmm.
he's still an equal part of that team. Um, and I've always been a firm believer in that.
Mm.
And you kind of pick up after yourself. Don't expect anyone else to do stuff for you. Just be a good bloke, really.
Yeah, yeah. Is that something? Was that missing when you got to Cornwall? Is the culture a little bit different, or was it always already there?
No, it is already here, man. Because
Oh, awesome.
Cornwall is the Cornish Pirates. They don't have the facilities and access to a lot of resources that other professional environments have.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe down here they've got an edge to them because they're really successful with not as much as what everyone else has got. I think they do more with less, and they're really like humble people. They look after each other. They do all the little things. So no, they had a really good culture when I came down here, and I was quite happy. You can just slot in
Yeah,
and be a part of it.
that's awesome, man. There's something. I've been a part of a few teams, a few different levels, and there's something about having that great culture that just makes it so much easier to play and so much easier to train. Just knowing that the people they play and train with have your back and you have their back, and it's a really nice sort of family atmosphere.
Yeah, 100%, man. I can't imagine not being in a team like that now.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, I mean you see a few things, a few athletes in different sports have trouble with that sometimes. It might be someone divisive in the locker room or you know a
yeah,
divisive coach. It is. I've never really been a part of it per se, but it does look like something that can really kind of throw you off.
yeah. I've heard stories of from teammates or some of my friends playing in other teams, and they've spoken quite badly about their teammates and their team culture.
Hmm.
And I'm fortunately never had to be a part of that,
Yeah,
and hopefully I never do. So
yeah, definitely. I hope so too, man. So I want to talk to you a little bit about sort of off-season training because rugby is a little bit different from American football. Obviously, we use anaerobic system, so we're sprinting all the time, so we don't have to train aerobically as much as you guys do. But
yeah,
I genuinely could not imagine the kind of training you have to do because you guys have to do the stuff we do, and you have to be as fit as a marathon runner. How do you make sure you cover all the bases in the off season?
yeah, that's a tough one. Like you say, we have to cover a lot of bases as an athlete, and in saying that, we're never going to be super high at one. You get a lot of American football players who are super explosive and rapid.
Yeah.
Um, but we're never going to be super explosive and rapid as American football players. We just have to have a general base.
Hmm.
Um, I spend a lot of my time in the off season. Because I'm not a huge guy for a flanker. I'm 6'2", and at the moment I'm just under 100 kgs. So
Mm.
I struggle with my weight. I could be playing. I should be playing around 105 kgs, and I sit naturally around 99 kgs. So I spend my time in the off season trying to put that weight back on.
Yeah, that's tough,
Um,
man.
yeah, and I'm naturally fit. I've always kind of been naturally fit, so I kind of take the fitness side of things as it comes, and I just put my head down and go for it.
Yeah.
When it does come, and as I've gotten older, I've kind of realized that it doesn't last forever. The pain, you just put your head down, you do the work, and then it's over, and you'll notice the results before long. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do spend most of my time trying to put weight back on, trying to.
Is that something that you've always struggled with throughout your playing career?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm like I said, for a flanker, I'm not the biggest guy, and I feel comfortable playing at 102 kgs.
Hmm.
I'm still at that weight. I'm still quick enough and agile enough. Um, but I'd love to play at like 105 kgs and just see how my collisions go there because
Oh, mate, yeah,
every kg counts, as I'm sure you know,
yeah.
when it comes to that collision.
You'd be flattening guys. I remember. I usually play around sort of 92. I don't really need to be much bigger than that.
Yeah,
But I've played with guys that are in the same position as me and they're playing at 100 kilograms, and I've seen them absolutely kill guys. I just think
yeah,
it must be kind of nice. I mean, I couldn't. I don't think I could play 100 kg, but I'm only just about 6 feet. But
yeah,
that's a lot of weight. And so I was doing a bit of research into a rugby off season. I think this was an England off season, and I think this was I believe it was Joe Marler. He was talking about they swim a lot in the off season, and he was saying that they did do about 20 lengths in a warm up, and then they'll go lift some weights and they'll go do some skill stuff, and then come back and swim again. Have you ever looked in swimming?
Nah, not really, man. I've never actually been a part of any teams that have done a whole lot of swimming.
Mm.
Um, and I think I'll probably get caught out if we ever do have to start swimming, man. I don't know if I can swim 20 lengths.
Yeah, I got no chance doing that.
One of the more interesting ones I did for a preseason, we did a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu
Oh wow, okay.
as conditioning. So you know, every team runs, and you get that kind of aerobic base,
Yeah,
and then when you come to playing, it's a whole different kettle of fish, because you got that wrestling aspect, and you can tire out easily. So one year we did. I was playing for the Blues back in New Zealand, and we did a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
hmm
So we are doing about, you know, half an hour of just straight wrestling, and it's just you had no energy left, and you had to keep going. And that was one of my more challenging ones, actually.
yeah. And did it translate to your game? Did it help you a lot?
Yeah, well, you just notice the difference when you come into playing again, and you're wrestling with guys, and that sort of collision fitness.
Mm.
Yeah, it was just a lot. It was a lot better than it would have been had we not done all the wrestling stuff. So plus, I mean, they threw in a few technique pointers and whatnot, which doesn't hurt to know.
Yeah, I think that there is a bit of a movement in American football. I've seen a few things on a few different accounts now and then, where they're trying to introduce more like wrestling and sort of tumbling stuff into off season work, because
Yeah,
it is something. It's strange. It's something that there's so much contact in both our sports. You kind of almost neglect it sometimes,
yeah,
and it is the main thing. If you know, in every contact sport, you do notice the guys that can hit the hardest and that never miss tackles, and they're the guys that usually end up getting paid loads of money. So,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. Um, quickly on contact as well. There's obviously nowadays a lot of research into concussions and stuff like CTE. Have you ever thought about sort of your long-term health playing high-level rugby?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I haven't been too bad with concussion and that sort of thing. I've had throughout my career, I've probably had maybe two or three times where I've been um, concussed.
Yeah,
It sounds like a lot, but I think maybe the last one was probably like 5 years ago.
yeah.
But I have recently, about a year ago, I had surgery on my neck,
Mm.
and I've had pretty bad issues with my neck and around my nerves going through my left arm, and I almost lost the all use of my left arm. So
Wow.
there was that I thought about. I was like, is it worth it if I lose my left arm? But I had the surgery, and it's come back to probably about 90% of where it would have been. So I did think about it. I have had thoughts about my future health and
Mm.
whatnot, but nothing has scared me off just yet.
Not even almost using left arm. If that does scare you off, then I don't think anything will, man.
Not yet, not yet.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I've not had any, I say, diagnosed concussions, but like when like you are
Yeah,
absolutely scrambled.
yeah,
And I remember one time at university we were doing a practice drill, and I remember I hit this guy and I got him pretty good. And I remember I tried to get up, and for some reason my left arm, funnily enough, just wasn't working. And I was like, okay, this is weird. And it was, it started shaking and stuff. And then after about 5 minutes, it fell back to normal. And my coach was like, oh yeah, you just got a stinger. And my left
yeah,
arm agony for like 2 days, and it was fine after that. But I but I do think from time to time, we both like to put in the big hits, and there's so much contact. I mean, I don't know if you've seen offensive linemen in American football. They are
yeah.
absolute
Like,
giants, man.
yeah,
And hitting one of them at 90 odd kilograms is not fun.
Yeah.
And I do think, think about sort of my long-term health, and from time to time I think, what about my family, and what will I be like? Because I don't know if you've seen the film Concussion. Um, that's quite a big film, and a lot of NFL guys didn't want to talk about it. It was essentially a film where
Is that Will Smith?
it was Will Smith. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, yeah.
What did you think of it?
I think it's good. I obviously in American football, there's a massive impact. Like the force of those impacts has got to be, insane, and even
Yeah.
higher than rugby, I think, because it moves a bit quicker.
Mm.
Um, so I think you've got to take that quite seriously, and I'm quite happy to see they've brought in some new laws, and haven't they not, around
Yeah.
tackling.
Yeah. So they brought in a load of different things. There's something called a targeting rule now. So if a player's in the air and you go to hit him, you can't make head-to-head contact. If someone's running with the ball, you can't make head-to-head contact. Obviously,
Yeah,
sometimes it's difficult because of the angle people are running as stuff happens so fast, so you kind of can't help it. But they're basically just trying to do their best to sort of limit the amount of guys that get CTE. But to be honest with you, I think it's one of those things as a contact athlete. I think we just understand that there's a chance that it could happen, and
yeah,
it's something we love, and it's a double-edged sword. But I think, I don't know, how do you feel about it, sort of long term?
yeah. I do think it is. There's always going to be a high level of risk,
Hmm.
the way we play the game, especially. Um, but yeah, you've got to take it seriously. Um, what people don't see from the outside is that guys that have even gone before you and I in both sports and had a few head knocks, and really put their health at risk.
Mm.
Um, Once they leave the game, they kind of get spat out, don't they? They
Yeah,
kind of get left to deal with things on their own. So
yeah,
I think now I do appreciate that both sports have introduced new laws to protect the players a bit more. And I mean, sometimes it doesn't work in my favor, the laws, but it's a small price to pay for someone's health down the line.
yeah, exactly.
I'm a big believer in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it means that I have to think about the way I tackle someone so that they don't end up like blind in like 10 years, then I think it's fine, But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's tough. It's tough, especially. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of sports, like even like soccer, like football, where they're worried about heading the ball because that can cause CTE. And like even cricket, when they're bowling at pace and the ball hits a batsman's head, that can contribute to CTE. So I think there's
Yeah. Absolutely.
a lot of sports where they're sort of revising the rules and looking at how they can take certain aspects out of the game.
Yeah. I think they've got to, because there is a high level of risk there.
Mm. I realised that we've been speaking about all the horrible stuff of playing. What is the best part about rugby? You spoke about contact. What's the best part about rugby for you?
Best part about rugby, yeah. Besides the contact aspect, the collision side of things, there's something about when you finish a game and it's been a really close game, and you've just really worked hard to get the win,
Yeah,
and then you go into the change rooms with the boys and you open a beer and you kind of reflect, and you have a bit of a moment with the boys.
yeah,
I know that for me, that's something you can't beat, and that's something I know when I retire or when I finish playing, I'm gonna miss those moments.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
something that every former athlete I've ever spoken to, people that have played for a long time, always say that they miss their teammates the most. That's the one
yeah.
thing. They miss their teammates. They miss the teammates, and they miss journeys to away games because those are hilarious as well.
Definitely I miss the away games. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So just to wrap up, there might be a few young athletes, rugby athletes, or any athletes listening to this podcast. What would you say is the biggest mistake that you made as a young athlete, or that you see other young athletes making?
Yeah, that's a good question. The One thing I regret as when I was a bit younger is I started playing with um, guys that were older than me, guys that I'd seen playing on TV, and they had reputations and big names. And I always put them on a pedestal above myself. You know, when playing against them,
Mm-hmm.
without I kind of gave them too much respect. You know, or I didn't back myself enough. So
Yeah.
my thing, my one bit of advice would be if you find yourself in a situation where you're sharing a field with some guys who are well-known players or bigger guys, just remember that you're on that field for a reason as well. They're no better than you, and back yourself, because I feel like I kind of missed a few opportunities just by not backing myself enough in those situations.
That's it, mate. I think one thing that someone once told me was when you're in competition, wherever you are, you're meant to be there. So if you're competing against guys who've played and are all stars and best in the league, what have you, and you're on the same field as them, you're meant to be there. So take that as what you will, and hopefully go on to dominate, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, man, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I've loved every second of it. You've been
Yeah, me
brilliant.
too.
The thing that I want to take from this and something that I want to kind of try and influence in my game is I actually want to look into sort of more like wrestling and sort of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and also I might actually try and match how much you watch game film 10 to 12 times. That's going to be difficult, but just going through the good things and the bad things. I think what I do is I'll try and make some notes about what I did wrong, what I could do better, and things that went right as well, and maybe work on speaking to my teammates about stuff they did wrong, and stuff that you do that has helped you be successful.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thank you, man. Well, guys, you can find Antonio here on Instagram. Here is Twon. That's TWON 013 on Instagram.